Red Hammer for Arma 3. In case you have no idea what I'm talking about, Red Hammer was originally an expansion to Operation Flashpoint. It was the middle child that never really fit in, developed by the game's publisher, Codemasters, and later completely overshadowed by the Resistance campaign. In terms of the timeline, it takes place parallel to the Cold War Crisis campaign, but now you play as the bad guys. This video is my playthrough of its ported version, which as you'll see has a myriad of issues, mostly relating to it being abandoned. If you want a spoiler-free review of the mod and the campaign, here's a timestamp for you to skip ahead to. Otherwise, spoilers in 3, 2, 1. The campaign begins with an introductory cutscene where we see Soviet troops preparing for the invasion of Everon. We're also introduced to our protagonist, Dmitry Lukin, who is part of the first wave of invading troops. Now, if this looks very foggy to you, that's my mistake. The campaign offers you to play it with heavy fog, like in the original game, which I kept enabled for the first few missions before disabling it. I recommend not using it if you play this campaign yourself. Your landing site is occupied by enemy troops holed up in a lighthouse, which is easy enough to take care of as you are supported by multiple BMPs on the assault. Then you wait. This is going to be a running theme for many of these early missions. You complete an objective and then you wait. Still, once you're on your way again, you are quickly stopped by enemies sitting at a fuel depot. If you start the campaign on regular difficulty, you'll probably realize here why the mod makers suggest putting the AI accuracy to 0. Just straight up no accuracy. I didn't go that far, but after a few deaths getting lasered by the AI, I figured I wasn't getting anywhere and lowered it to recruits. Well, doesn't help that the area is very open with no cover to speak of. Lowering the difficulty allowed me to close in and grenade the remaining enemies to eternal sleep, which also set the fuel aflame, which is apparently entirely alright, as after defeating the enemy counterattack, we can finally go on our way to Tyrone. Or well, that's what's supposed to happen. What happened for me is that the friendly AI bugged out, forcing me to go into Zeus to try and goad them into moving again, which was successful, somewhat. This is going to be a recurring issue for many of these early missions. Friendly units meant to support you just don't, so I went ahead and basically took the town on my own, as the friendly squad I managed to drag with me acted as a distraction for the enemy forces. Not the greatest start to a campaign. How are you alive? Open. Oh, okay. Cool. As Soviet forces roll over much of Everon, militia forces scramble to try and mount a resistance. Unfortunately for them, they're fighting against the time-manipulating immortal Russian, and it's said Russian's job to mop them up. Our first target is a communications post where phones apparently ring all times of the day and they're all glued to their receivers. Unanswerable phone hijinks aside, this mission is mostly just going from A to B, killing everyone there, and then going to C, repeated 4 times. Once you clear the second objective, you do get a BMP sent to support you, but the AI is pretty useless on it. However, the BMP is unlocked. As soon as you get close, the BMP crew will join your squad, so you can just tell the gunner to fuck off and take matters into your own hands, which trivializes the following objectives, as the militia are very lacking in the anti-tank department, while they also don't operate any of their vehicles to begin with, so securing the airfield ends the mission. The following mission is an escort mission. If that immediately made you sigh and go, that doesn't sound good. Yeah, no, it doesn't. This mission sucks and doesn't even add anything to the story despite how important the character you're escorting is. Your task is to escort General Guba's secretary to the airfields. If you don't know these people, well, Guba is the main antagonist and this is his girlfriend, so you get a squad of soldiers alongside you to make sure she doesn't die. Unfortunately, said squad gets entirely wiped out a minute after you hit the road.
This is Eagle. Find alternative transport and get Angelina to Montignac. Out.
Oh shit. Logically, you quickly retreat and get the secretary back into the safety of fuck no. You're actually expected to crash your way through the ambushing forces, killing all of them on your own, including a BMP, abandoning your seemingly intact vehicle for seemingly no reason, and stealing a civilian truck to get your charge where she needs to go.
Shut up. Give me your khakis now.
We're dispatching tanks from Montignac to mop up any remaining resistance. Eagle out.
This is stupid. Next. Now that the superior officer is dead, Dmitri is promoted. Also, the Americans finally entered the scene, invading southern Everon via paradrop, which ends horribly for them as their AI bugs out and they just stay unmoving from their drop zones. They don't even react when shot at. Their supporting FIA guerrillas fare a little better. Those static defensive turrets make short work of their attempted assaults. You can then visit their castle to find evidence, as well as a bunch more guerrillas. I don't know what this evidence consists of, nothing is actually done about it later on, which makes this optional objective entirely pointless. Very cool, thank you, Red Hammer. In any case, it's time for a doomed offensive against the Americans. The Reds launch a naval invasion of Malden, which goes about as well as you would expect, because all of your friendly AI have their pathing break from the start, which would make this mission very painful if you weren't aware of the fact that you can hijack your starting BMP if you're fast enough to do so before it disembarks you. This renders the mission significantly more palatable, though the enemy AI is just as broken as your own and will mostly just go prone in some grass instead of defending the beach like they're supposed to, forcing you to play whack-a-mole until they're all dead. Or you cheat and kill them instead of wasting 10 minutes of your life. Regardless, all you have to do next is destroy a single AA vehicle and then leave the AO. The next mission is completely broken and legitimately impossible. No amount of safe scumming will get you through it. Your objective is to destroy more AA units by riding straight to an enemy artillery barrage. The problem is that the way it is scripted is bugged. Obviously, the player is killed if they stop during the artillery barrage, but even once you get past it, the script never updates, so you'll still die as soon as you stop your truck to destroy an AA installation. Even if you don't die, you will automatically fail the mission.
Set the ally for some fucking
Mission failed? The only way to get past this mission is to inject another script of your own to forcibly end the mission. Not that your efforts matter whatsoever, as the Soviet forces are destined to eat shit and die. Dmitri himself is ambushed alongside his squad by an enemy tank, leaving him as the only survivor, and now he must find friendly units to regroup with. Said friendly unit is a tank driver who is scared shitless after seeing the rest of his comrades get blasted to smithereens by the Americans. Dmitri forces him back into service, except the tank is damaged and needs repairs. Guess what you need to do next? If you said kill a dozen people on your own at an enemy supply depot in order to steal the repair truck, yes, you are correct. Once the T-72 is repaired and rearmed, you are free to smash your way through enemy lines, whose own tanks are hopelessly outmatched against yours. How did these guys fuck it up? You then follow up on your own success by more or less reforming an armored platoon, crashing your tank through a fortified town, rescuing friendly tank crews and their tanks in the process. Or that's what you're supposed to do. I dumped my repair truck at the beginning of the mission and couldn't be bothered to get it back when I discovered that the tanks you can recover are all inoperable.
Oh, they're damaged.
And not that it actually matters, you can just load all the crew onto your tank and leave the AO. The new tanks that you have recovered are promptly put to use as distractions so that the remaining Soviet forces on the island can't escape. Except the Americans barely try to stop this evacuation to begin with. On my playthrough I saw a single platoon of enemy tanks who got quickly destroyed by my own tank platoon, and then didn't have to fight any other enemies until reaching the evacuation point, at which point I downed a singular attack helicopter. Very cool, thank you, Red Hammer. And then I got abandoned. Very cool, thank you, comrades.
The boat, come back, wait for us. Sir, the boats are leaving. We'll be trapped.
Well, time to abandon all the tanks we fought to obtain and run off into the forest halfway across the island. How the hell did Dmitri get here? Also, it is pitch fucking black. I cannot see anything. Running off into the direction of the objective is the best I can do here. Thankfully, getting close triggers a cutscene which magically gives you night vision goggles. The enemy base is still infested with hostiles, however, so they must be cleared out. The AA crew first, and then the rest of the base. And then the reinforcements.
Один! Огонь по своему усмотрению!
And then the empty AA vehicles too, because the objective says so. Once Operation Steal the Helicopter Sneakily is successful, after all if everyone saw it is dead, it is still stealth, we can take off in the helicopter and do even more stealthing.
2 километра, юго-восток.
Everything goes great until Dmitri gets overconfident and stays within the AI's range for far too long, allowing the AI to get accurate enough with their shots to critically damage the helicopter and force a crash landing right next door. If you love pointless padding, you'll love this mission. Time to go back to the base we just cleared out, grab the repair truck. Where did my night vision goggles go? When the hell did these guys get over here? Thank you, Red Hammer. Steal the truck after doing some more house clearing, rush back to the chopper and repair it. Finally, time to leave this stuff and pick up some friends on the way too, I guess.
Look into Eagle. We've got him. I'm on my way home. Over.
Learning of Dmitri's exploits, General Guba personally promotes him to Special Operations Spetsnaz, and then immediately sends him back to Malden to assassinate some NATO officers. I have unfortunately played this mission before, as it is part of the mission pack for Cold War Rearmed. It's not very good. The gist is you have 3 officers meeting at the biggest town of the map, and 2 of them need to travel there, so you can kill at least 1 officer during their transport. Except this is a trap because they're escorted by M1 trees, and it's Arma trees, so you're pretty unlikely to be able to successfully snipe the gunner before you get mobbed. Even then, the roads are also patrolled by at least 2 squads on either side, so your real best shot is to immediately rush to one of the smaller towns before the officers depart to kill one of them, and then go to La Trinidad and try to kill the remaining officers. The town is saturated with enemies, so no chance of clearing the place out. I already knew where the officers were going, thankfully, so I sniped them during the meeting.
The fuck was that?
And then ran off in a stolen jeep to complete the mission. While Dmitri is away, the situation on Everon deteriorates sharply and Dmitri is put back on distraction duty, defending Montignac against an armored assault. Sadly, this mission is not that good. It starts off by making you waste a bunch of time rearming and repairing armored vehicles at your disposal, that then gives you the option of placing down mines that are entirely unnecessary because you really only need the T-72 to complete the mission. The Americans attack in 4 waves, 1 wave consisting of a singular Abrams tank, 1 wave of older M60 tanks who can't do anything to you, 1 wave of APCs with no anti-tank capability, and finally, a wave of infantry alongside more M60s. Very cool, thank you, Red Hammer. After leaving Montignac, Dmitri is still on distraction duty, but now with an entirely different task. He needs to ambush an enemy convoy. Minor spoilers, you don't need to bother rearming your squad mates like I did. The first task is to clear out a nearby hospital before moving on to the ambush location on a very particular BMP. Once there, the game takes over.
The convoy has passed. It's coming your way. Roman out. This is Roman to Eagle. Roman to Eagle. Agent, copy. Over. This is Ivan to Roman. What is the problem? Over. Hold fire, Ivan. There's been a mistake. This is Eagle to Roman. Is the target destroyed? Over. Intelligence was wrong. This isn't a troop convoy. It's civilian. Over. Negative, Roman. That is your target. 2 trucks of civilians. Who gave this order? General Guba himself. Now take out those trucks as ordered. Eagle out.
What is that?
The seriousness of this cutscene does not mesh well with the jankiness of Arma. I am sorry, but this is probably the funniest cutscene in the entire campaign.
Please, don't shoot!
Still, that took a surprisingly long time. How did they not kill any civilians till now? We're way past the midway point of the campaign. In any case, Dmitri is almost court-martialed for his disobedience. Threatened with the business end of a firing squad, he must make up for his failure with a nighttime solo assassination mission. Honestly, I don't mind. I'd take this sort of mission over a generic assault mission any day. And you get night vision goggles as well, so this mission is already significantly better than the other assassination mission. The commanders are in fairly obvious spots with not too many enemies around them, making proper assassin gameplay actually viable. Once you move on to the final target, Rebel Commander, things don't go as planned. Dmitri meets a familiar face, well, familiar to him. For us, we've seen him in the intro cutscene at the beginning of the game and never again. Turns out Dmitri is ex-Spetsnaz to begin with, having most likely been booted out of there previously, and this guy served alongside him. He reveals the truth to Dmitri. The Soviet invasion is nothing more than Guba's personal quest. The Soviets in Moscow have not given any orders as such, and have no clue what's happening until the invasion's already underway. And they're coming for vengeance. Time to go through the worst mission of the campaign. Dmitri wants to do something extremely stupid and outrageously reckless for the sake of valor, in the hopes of forgiveness by the Soviet forces when they arrive. If you've seen my previous videos, you know by now that I hate any mission that I deem too difficult. This is no exception. Huge numbers of hostiles better armed than you are prowling the map, ready to converge on you the moment you engage. The one good thing is that you can't actually complete this mission without resorting to cheats or huge amounts of safe scumming, as your objectives consist of vehicle and supply depots, one of which is a helicopter depot. It is more or less intended for the player to steal a helicopter from the third objective, which happens to be the one furthest away from you.
Get the fuck out of my goddamn MI-24.
So better be good at sneaking, and then use that helicopter to blast the remaining depots to smithereens, before sculling it and leaving the AO. Finding a friendly camp, Dmitri is greeted by some FIA rebels who wish to liberate their village. Thinking they are in over their head, Dmitri, famous for being in over his head, joins them. Clearing an enemy camp in order to rearm themselves with stolen weapons, the group follows you with an undying will, until they die. Not that any of these guys actually matter. Clearing their village is a slog, with infantry hiding prone in the bushes still being the most annoying thing to face in this game.
Oh my god.
And once you clear the village, the Americans arrive in the very next mission, so you just wasted a bunch of effort for nothing. This time you need to help protect your landing force, except they don't really need your protection. They're more than capable of defending themselves, so you're doing a bunch of pointless work again. Unintentional military criticism. The game suggests you avoid the coastal armor depot. I suggest you go there and steal a tank.
Меняю магазин!
That's, F.
This mission is actually a tank mission, as all of the depots have unlocked tanks that you can steal, unlike previous missions. There are enemy tanks present, but they're all in holdovers, which makes them easy pickings, since they won't move or aggro unless you shoot them. The infantry can't do anything to you, at most they'll do some minor damage, but you can just grab another tank. This mission is basically a slaughter against helpless Soviet soldiers.
Вперед!
Meanwhile, during the slaughter, the Soviets have captured our ex-Spetsnaz friend and are planning to torture him to death. He must be saved within a 15-minute time limit. You spawn in a tank, so I rescued him in 5.
Влево! Влево! Вперед! Вперед! Вправо! Влево! Вправо! Стоять! Противник!
Obviously, there are plenty of enemies on the way, but I have a friendly BMP to serve as a distraction and, you know, tank. Pretty easy to just bulldoze through the AI when you're in a tank.
Назад! Стоять! Назад! Вперед! Вперед! Влево!
Regardless, this rescue leads to the final mission. Dmitri agrees to cooperate with the Americans, disguising himself as a Soviet grunt in order to infiltrate their camp and place some explosives. This is easy enough, provided you don't ever touch the shift key.
Soldier, I said! It's the traitor looking! Gun him down!
Once all of the explosives are placed and detonated, Dmitry takes advantage of the chaos, believing that taking the leaders of the base hostage as a gift to the Soviets in Moscow will get him good rewards. While the Americans are assaulting the battled Soviets and mowing them down, you must find the 2 Soviet officers in base, preferably before they are killed. This is easier than it looks, as besides the officers, most of the soldiers are too busy shooting at other people to look at you, as long as you keep your head down. Once you get close to the officers, a cutscene triggers and you can take your hands off the keyboard as the campaign is won.
What is this? What's going on here?
It seems we will be traveling home in style.
I will see you dead for this, Lukin.
It's still not too late for you to go overboard. If I don't do it, the KGB.
The officers taken prisoner are understandably angry at their predicament, but their sacrifice does indeed buy Dmitry the means to keep his rank as a member of the Spetsnaz. In fact, it will seem that he gets promoted to a team leader and sent straight back to Kolguja once peace returns to the islands. GG. That's the campaign. So, what do I think of Red Hammer for Arma 3? I think it's not worth playing, unfortunately, at least in its current state. This mod has been abandoned since 2022, and it shows. Many of the missions, mostly the earlier ones, have issues relating to the AI padding, and the later ones are usually not much fun to play, with a few exceptions. The story, while competently written, is also bound by the fact that it takes place parallel to the original story of Cold War Crisis. It is, as far as I know, never referenced any other Arma game, making it entirely irrelevant timeline-wise. To put it bluntly, unless this mod gets picked up again and has bug fixes done for it, I wouldn't recommend playing it. You won't miss anything story-wise, and the mission design has not aged very well since 2002. At best, it is mediocre. At worst, you will see the mission objectives and instantly want to alt F4. Even for a free mod, this is a 6 out of 10. If you enjoyed this video, I accept compensation in the form of likes and subscriptions. See you in the next one.
Really?